A lot of students feel like when they start studying for the MCAT, they need to go ahead and give up kind of everything in their life, and it needs to be like MCAT, 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 and that is the way to a top score. However, I would disagree, and I would say that having a life is one of the most important aspects of your MCAT prep. And so I want to share 4 reasons why I think this is the case. So the first one is mental health. And there are a couple aspects that play into this. The first is the idea that when you're taking the MCAT, you're going to be stressed. And so one way to kind of motivate yourself to keep moving forward is reward yourself. And this could be doing something you like going to the beach, going on a walk. If you like to go out with your friends, you could do that. All these things kind of are a good way to start a reward system so that you'll be like, all right, if I do this much studying today, I can go out tomorrow. That sort of thing. It also kind of gets you out of your MCAT bubble. A lot of times it's like if you're doing MCAT all the time, all you can think about that like drives up your anxiety. So if you can find an activity that just helps you kind of like let it go for a few minutes or even a couple hours, that's really going to improve your studying. And it also helps your brain absorb all the information that you've learned throughout the week. You don't realize this, but when you're doing these activities, you're still kind of taking in all this information, letting it kind of sit in your brain. And so that's why it's really important for your own mental health to take some time and enjoy other activities. This will really help you keep your mind clear, and also you'll probably find you remember more info, you retain things better, and you're just happier overall. So the next one is time management. And here you will notice that if you schedule other things with the MCAT, that you are improving your time management skills. There's a big difference in the time management skills of somebody who just studies over the summer for 3 months and doesn't really do much more, and somebody who like studies over the summer, but also volunteers like 1 or 2 days a week for a couple hours, maybe goes out with their friends on Friday night, or like spends time with their family on Sundays. Things like this really make a difference in your time management skills, which as we know is necessary if you're going to be a doctor. The other thing this really does is it forces you to study smarter so that you know what you're doing. So don't spend more time studying, like don't study harder. You just want to study smarter. And it forces you, if you have other things going on, to really evaluate how much are you getting done. If you know you have to volunteer from like 8 to 9 or 8 to 12 in the middle of the morning, how much are you going to get done in the afternoon? It kind of makes you think about what's going on. And this is really helpful, again, for just starting those time management skills now that you're going to need in med school, residency, and as a doctor. So third idea is that having a life outside of the MCAT actually makes it a little bit easier to remember why you want to be a doctor. So I just talked a little bit about volunteering like as part of your schedule, but one thing you might want to schedule in time to do is volunteer at a place where you can work with patients or shadow doctors or make sure you're talking to doctors, something like that, or have a job where you're working with patients. This can really remind you why you want to go to medical school in the first place. And so when you get bogged down by the MCAT and you're so frustrated because you like didn't do as well in a section as you wanted in your practice test, you remember why you even started doing this in the first place. And that can really help you kind of keep pushing through the hard spot. And this can also include writing down your why. So when you get to your personal statement, it's essentially like a paper about why you want to be a doctor. So take some time to think about it and not just, I want to be a doctor to help people and because I'm good at science, because that's what we all say, but think about why do you really, really, really want to be a doctor? And if you can write that down, it really helps drive you forward. My personal example is that my father was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and I saw how his oncologist treated him, and I wanted to make sure that there were people kind of put around other people and were able to think outside the box and really help people with cancer live life even if it's terminal. This was my why, and so when I wrote that down and I was getting frustrated or discouraged, I would look at that and remember, okay, I want to be a doctor because I want to help patients. I was also volunteering where I was working with patients. So I could also see patients and directly see how doctors impact them. And again, this is more about, this ties back into mental health, one, but it also helps you get into a good place so that when you're frustrated, when you're struggling, you remember why you're doing this and you're able to get past that and achieve the MCAT score you're going for. So this last one is a pretty obvious one, but also one like a lot of people probably don't want to think about. It's the fact that med school is hard. And so for instance, at my medical school, we take block exams, and each block exam is like 7 or 8 hours long, just like the MCAT. So you're essentially taking 2 or 3 MCATs a semester. And the MCAT's also not the only biggest test you're going to take that's going to like determine your fate. There's also step 1, which you've probably already heard about, and then there's step 2 and step 3, and then you're going to have to take board re-examinations multiple times during your career. So it's time to get adjusted to big tests, and a good time to start is now. Another way to think of this though is that, for instance, like at my school, we take 3 big block exams. If I took 8 MCATs the semester I practiced, or the 3 months I was practicing for the MCAT, I took 8 in 3 months, essentially a semester. So 3 in a semester is really not a big deal. Like, I can handle that amount of information. And so think of it in terms of it's preparing you for the future, because it's not going to be easy. It is going to be hard. But if you're able to prepare yourself, you'll be in a much better position than where you're at right now, where you kind of don't know what's going on, you don't know how to study, and you got to build this stamina for this long exam. So that being said, one of the things to keep in mind too is that the MCAT was really created to help you evaluate if you're ready for medical school. And there's a reason, like, it's factored pretty heavily into admissions. For some schools, there's cutoffs. At my school, it counts for, like, you get a number score and 25% of your number score is your MCAT. I mean, a lot of schools make it a big deal. And so one of the most important things to remember is that this is going to be a big test that's a part of your life. So one of the things we want you to kind of keep in mind with MCAT Mastery is that we want you to conquer this test, not only to conquer this test, but to really kind of use it as a training ground to set you up to be a successful doctor and to do well in medical school so that you can achieve your goals beyond the MCAT. This is not just an investment in right now or your MCAT score. This is an investment in your future self so that you can study correctly, do well in med school, get into the residency you want, get the fellowship you want. All of these things really tie back to what you set up for yourself now with the MCAT. So to help you train in the most efficient way possible, we've actually created a step-by-step strategy course by top scorers who have gotten into med school. I'm actually one of them, so that we can help you see how to evaluate passages, read through things, where you're getting stuck and how you can get yourself unstuck so that you can be successful on the MCAT. And if you're really interested and you kind of feel your scores are plateauing or you need just a little help getting past that point, go ahead and click on the link below. We've included it so that you can find out more about what we do and get started on achieving the MCAT score you want and setting yourself up for success for the future, because what you do now is going to directly impact your MCAT score and your future self. And that's the best gift you can possibly give yourself.